afternoon, my faithful viewers. This is the media guy here. Today, I'm here to share my thoughts on this World War II comedy classic, 1941. Now, I assume that you guys never heard of this movie, or at least, and I bet you guys never saw a single clip of this movie, or probably saw. I bet you guys never saw anyone else on YouTube talk about this. Well, Minty Comedic Arts did a top 10 video about this 3 years ago. Sorry about that. Somehow there was a little bit of a lag in my recording. But anyways, I'm here to share my thoughts on this film. Spectacular is certainly a word for this utterly wild comedy epic directed by Steven Spielberg and nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Lavish effects sequences highlight this hilarious all-star extravaganza in Los Angeles just days after the attack of Pearl Harbor, when a fear of Japanese invasion threw the city into a state of pandemonium. Screwball characters run wild in Hollywood Boulevard as maniac servantsmen, zealous store owners, teary-eyed generals, high-stepping chorus girls, and bickering Nazis are thrown together in this fast-rising comic souffle that even features a setup of Spielberg's own Jaws opening. Yeah, I seem to have noticed that. Now, despite the fact that I'm no World Wars expert, this movie is strictly hilarious. And I mean hilarious. There are times when I end up bursting out laughing. I mean, it takes the elements of, it is based on the events of World War II in the early 1940s, but adding some slapstick humor to it, which makes it even funnier and a bit educational at the same time when you think about it. Now, I was able to recognize some of the cast members, like Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and John Candy. Now, this isn't the first time that these 3 have worked together. Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi also appeared as Jake and Elwood Blues from the Blues Brothers 1 year earlier, as well as John Candy playing one of the officers in that movie as well. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. I think 1941 is probably one of those type of movies that you must go see for yourself. Because it's like I said a few minutes ago, it is based on the events of World War II, but with a more comedic approach to it. Though, and I'm not sure if it's meant to be like a satire of World War II. Probably not. But you guys know what I mean. And I assume that you guys might have seen this before. So I think that this is probably a great movie. And I was starting to know a little bit that the film probably didn't do so well at the box office. I mean, Minty Comedic Arts brought this up when he did a top 10 facts video about the Blues Brothers. And I was even starting to watch a little bit of his top 10 facts video about 1941. I mean, there was so much chaos, destruction, that it would probably give the Blues Brothers a run for their money. Or probably the director's cut of Little Shop of Horrors or Mars Attacks. Yes, I know. It's crazy that the destruction and mayhem in this movie is so insane that it will probably give Little Shop of Horrors, director's cut version, Blues Brothers, and Mars Attacks a run for their money. Which I know that sounds like a bit of a silly comparison, but still. It is cool to see the Americans and the Japanese fighting against each other, since, well, it takes place during World War II. Now, I don't think the people making this movie were trying to be offensive or anything. I think they were trying to make an educational movie, but also trying to make it very hilarious. Because like I said, it does feature some recognizable characters, like the aforementioned Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and John Candy. I think this was John Belushi's second movie debut, the first being Animal House 1 year earlier, and the third being The Blues Brothers a year later in 1980. Now, I'm not sure what other movies John Belushi was in, other than Animal House, 1941, or Blues Brothers. And as for John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, who also appeared in 1941, they were well known at the time. Because Dan Aykroyd and John Candy did appear in the Blues Brothers. And not to mention, Dan Aykroyd also worked on some of the Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters movies, as well as John Candy appearing in Little Shop of Horrors, and Sesame Street's Follow That Bird. As for the rest of the cast, I probably don't know much about them since I hardly know them. But it doesn't hurt for me to try finding out more about them. And I will admit, it is cute that he referenced Dumbo in this movie. Which makes sense because Dumbo came out in the early 40s, which is where this movie is taking place. And I guess it was during the... It's not too often where a Universal movie will probably reference a Disney movie. I guess the people working on this movie will have to probably ask Disney for permission if they can reference Dumbo in this movie. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm just taking a wild guess. So yeah, overall, 1941 is a fun, action-packed comedy disaster movie. Oh, I meant that in a good way. Because it is trying to show the events of World War II happening, while also trying to be very funny. So I would probably give this film 5 American flags out of 5. Just because of how great the action scenes are, how hilarious it is, and how it can be very educational at times. And it does have great casting choices. Well, I already mentioned Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and John Candy a few times in this movie. Not gonna lie, I really love the cover art for this VHS release. Yeah, the VHS cover, the front and back look pretty impressive. So yeah. If you guys haven't seen this movie yet, go right ahead. You can probably find various clips of this film on YouTube. Minty Comedic Arts did a top 10s video about this film. And I'm sure you can find a VHS and DVD copy of this film at a local thrift store close to where you guys live, or probably at Walmart or Target. And if not, then maybe you can order the DVD from Amazon. That's always the alternate choice. So yeah, thank you guys for watching my review of 1941 And make sure you have a fantastic Thanksgiving break, even though Thanksgiving was already yesterday.